Part 77. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 764. A genius can remember the address of this website in 1 second, ding ding, the fastest update. No ads? Jia Yan spread his wings, and the blue light all over his body almost lit up the sky, like a small sun. But when he said this, the group of battleships that were rushing towards him suddenly stagnated. A group of venerable level beings piloting a battleship were directly restrained by the strength of Jia Yan, a powerful man. Although they all understand that Jia Yan is only a strong man who has just been promoted to the venerable level, how can they dare to charge again at this moment? There is a huge difference in strength between this venerable and this group of venerables. They are not even a little bit stronger. Not going? Then I'll go. Seeing so many battleships, Jia Yan did not dare to gather around them. He let out a heroic laugh, then spread his wings and rushed directly towards the group of strong men driving the battleships. How bold, how dare you counterattack? With so many of us, how can we still be afraid of you? Waves of strong men were shocked by Jia Yan at this time. They did not dare to attack, but they were afraid of becoming the first being killed by Jia Yan. But at this time, this strong man from the so-called giant mosquito clan actually counterattacked directly. Come. This is simply a joke in the world. At this time, there are more than 40 strong men gathered around them, and other sages from the outside world are also driving battleships to charge and are about to arrive. This strong man is really looking for death if he wants to face their attacks alone. But Jia Yan seemed to have no regard for their number. At this moment, a large wave of strong light shot through his body, and Jia Yan's figure fell directly into the subspace. This wave of light passed through his body without harming him at all. Look like. It's this skill again. The existence of the power to control the space environment directly suppresses the space around him, preventing him from entering the subspace. The orangutan warrior came to the front of the venerables at this moment. After giving instructions, he raised his huge fist and smashed it at Jia Yan. This strong man really took the lead, but for Jia Yan, his actions were like a leader who failed to do his duty. This kind of existence is only suitable for charging as a pawn. Of course, Jia Yan also likes this kind of opponent. Buzz. Jia Yan only felt that the space around him suddenly tightened, and he could not find even the slightest flaw in the space. But he was not worried. In front of him, several strong men attacked together. In order to prevent the attacks from attacking his companions, the surrounding battleships stopped attacking at this moment. And the orangutan strongman was also among this group of strong men at this moment. Well done, Jia Yan's eyes flashed, and then he raised his front feet and faced the 7 or 8 strong men who were attacking in the flesh. Think you are strong in physical combat? I am also a physically powerful creature, let's see who is stronger. The powerful orangutan had now arrived in front of Jia Yan. He patted his chest, just like a real orangutan from Earth. After boosting his momentum, he swung his fist towards Jia Yan. Sparks flew up in the starry sky, and the powerful men attacking around felt a hurricane sweep through their bodies. Jia Yan's forefoot collided with the opponent's fist. This powerful orangutan, worthy of being the pinnacle of venerable beings, actually blocked him for 0.03 seconds. But that was all. When 0.03 seconds passed, his front foot penetrated directly. The blue light increased the sharpness of the forefoot, and after the collision with this strong man, Jia Yan's forefoot did not suffer any damage. Instead, the opponent's fist was pierced by the forefoot in one blow. Ah! The strong orangutan screamed. Then there was fear in his eyes, and he actually wanted to retreat at this moment. Want to escape? It's not that simple. Jia Yan didn't let him escape at all, and pushed forward hard with his other front foot. The screams of the orangutan commander rang out in the starry sky, but the screams soon stopped. It turned out that after Jia Yan penetrated the orangutan monster's brain with one of his front legs, the needle had already followed and pierced directly into the opponent's chest. Two fatal attacks, this strong orangutan could not die anymore. Just when the strong men around him were so shocked that their commanders were directly killed by Jia Yan that they did not dare to move, Jia Yan fiercely sucked the blood out of the body of the strong orangutan in a few seconds. When a thin piece of skin fell into the starry sky, a large wave of strong men were truly frightened at this moment. This Jia Yan is so weird. I seem to feel that after he absorbed the commander's blood, his strength actually recovered a little. Is this the talent of the so-called giant mosquito race? How can I fight this? Run away. This Jia Yan is too strong and his natural abilities are too weird. If we fight, we might all be wiped out. A group of powerful people are all very visionary beings. When Jia Yan showed the picture of sucking blood and turning energy into use in front of everyone, they understood that Jia Yan actually had this talent of being able to steal other people's energy. This shows that as long as if you don't kill the opponent at once, then Jia Yan's strength depends on fighting, and he will almost never be weak. How can he fight? And what they didn't notice was that Jia Yan's strength was not only restored as a result of this absorption, but also became faintly stronger. Of course, becoming stronger is only a benefit after mutation. Once the strength reaches the peak of this stage, it will not be such a simple matter to increase strength. Want to escape? I haven't practiced enough yet. Jia Yan saw that some strong men wanted to turn around at this moment. The light in his compound eyes flashed again, and then his body suddenly moved. All the strong men saw that Jia Yan's speed was like a bolt of lightning, and he came to the side of the slowest strong man. This strong man was not very strong. Although he was also a sage, when he saw Jia Yan's arrival, he even unable to fight back, Jia Yan simply stopped attacking and directly inserted the mouth needle into his body. Ah! It hurt so much. The strong man screamed alive as Jia Yan sucked his blood and died. His frightened scream soon stopped, but this scene was even more terrifying than the previous scene. Jia Yan's cold-blooded image became extremely bloody in the eyes of this group of strong men. Run away. This Jia Yan is a monster. A group of strong men who seemed to Jia Yan to be monsters suddenly exclaimed that Jia Yan was a monster, and then fled in all directions. Without the commander, they had no plan for retreat, let alone attack. Want to escape? It's not that simple. Counterattack, otherwise how can I practice my ability to face group attacks, Jia Yan sneered. Because there were not many strong people who used the space environment to suppress him, at this moment he suddenly entered the subspace again. Space shuttle. The venerable monster who had escaped the farthest now thought that it was impossible for Jia Yan to catch up with him. As long as he ran farther away, he would be able to stay away from the pursuit of this terrifying blood-sucking monster, and he would have peace of mind. But what he didn't expect was that when he thought he was almost safe, the space in front of him suddenly blurred, and a blue monster stepped out of the space. Jia Yan! He screamed in shock. Although he wanted to escape, before he could move, he was directly penetrated by a flying needle. The strong man soon died after his blood was sucked while screaming. Damn vampire monster, don't be so arrogant, just die. Jia Yan killed several guys who fled far away, and then a voice sounded. It turns out that all the venerable monsters on the entire front line have gathered in this star field again. However, 1/3 of this group of monsters was killed by Jia Yan, and there were only more than 70 monsters left, which was a great loss in strength. Moreover, Jia Yan's strength at this moment was actually a lot stronger. He felt that his enhanced strength after mutation had almost reached the peak of the stage in the process of sucking the blood of the strong. It's not that he can't become stronger, but it's difficult to improve by sucking the blood of strong people. Jia Yan, whose strength had reached a new level, heard a wave of strong voices. Then his compound eyes flashing with a faint blue meaning slowly raised his head and looked at the more than 70 strong men who had once again surrounded him. Among this group of strong men, some were driving battleships, some were flying physically, some were injured by him, and some were not damaged at all. Some of them have lost their will to fight, and some of them seem eager to try, thinking that they can fight Jia Yan. Haha, am I rampant? Very good, you took the initiative to arrest me and still said I was rampant. I'll show you how crazy I really am. Come on. Jia Yan stepped out but the surrounding space suddenly tightened. It turned out that some space environment control existed, and the space was blocked again. Snort. Jia Yan's brainwave power suddenly shook. That group of beings only felt a terrifying brainwave power at this moment, which shook the space they sealed off a little loosely. Although they were still under their control, there was a slight gap in the area where Jia Yan was located. Jia Yan took advantage of this gap and entered the twisted space. Space shuttle. Came outside a battleship. Now that he had sucked enough blood, he stopped sucking. Instead, he stretched out one of his front legs and killed the battleship from the outside to the inside, including the strong man operating the battleship, with one blow. He is powerful again. Through this series of escapes and attacks, it was immediately apparent that Jia Yan's strength seemed to have greatly increased. No, I won't play anymore. You can do whatever the love forces want to do. I'll leave first. A strong man piloted the battleship and retreated far away from the battlefield. Seeing him like this, more than a dozen strong men responded. However, during this period, the battle was still going on. Jia Yan, who had mastered the space shuttle skill and greatly improved his strength, was not something that this group of venerables could check and balance. When 15 more powerful men, including battleships, were killed by Jia Yan's direct explosion. Finally, the entire AI Tang Power's venerable alliance collapsed. Run away, I don't know which strong man shouted. After that, Jia Yan only saw the entire world in front of him, with warships and strong men surrounding him everywhere, scrambling to escape. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 765. A genius can remember the address of this website in 1 second, ding ding, the fastest update. No ads. A battle against Jia Yan ended. Although Jia Yan finally used his improved strength and shuttle skills to chase down 7 or 8 sages, a large number of sages still escaped. Of course, Jia Yan was not frustrated at all. Because in this battle, he gained so much. Not only did he kill so many enemies, but he also practiced fighting against group attacks. Through the unexpected discovery of blood-sucking and energy-taking methods, his strength has been upgraded to another world, which is not much worse than the peak after mutation. After the battle, the light and shadow monster, which had fallen into a deep energy-saving mode, also jumped out with a sigh and said something. I originally thought that you could reach the level of my master at most, but now it seems that you still have many secrets. Maybe you will finally be able to take that step that my master cannot take. Little guy, work hard for me. Don't die. After saying that, he continued to leave in silence without waiting for Jia Yan's response. After hearing this, Jia Yan just smiled. His own family knew about his affairs. Now, the senior light and shadow monster had a rough look at his secrets, and there was nothing left to hide from him. However, Jia Yan felt excited when he heard that this strong man actually said that he might surpass the terrifying original owner. I killed about half of this wave of strong men. Although they were not completely wiped out, for me now, it is still a good fight. Jia Yan understood that his ability to destroy a strong team, or rather a fleet of strong men, composed of more than 100 venerables, was already the ultimate expression of his current strength. There was also a lot of luck involved. Of course, even if Jia Yan was defeated at that time, he could still escape. He did not lack the ability to escape, but he was able to completely defeat the opponent, which he himself did not expect at all. Returning to the location of the battleship, Jia Yan set sail again. This time, his battle once again detonated the internet and media throughout the Northern Star territory. Because the venerables who besieged Jia Yan before were from all kinds of forces, and some were even large forces passing by, and it was impossible for the venerables who were coerced by the Ai Tang forces to conceal the news. Even if Ai Tang, it is unlikely that Tang, who is behind the power, will come forward. So when they escaped, the news was immediately spread, and the entire public opinion circle was turned upside down. The visitors from the outside who claim to be the giant Mosquito clan are heading directly towards the central district this time. More than 100 sages joined forces in a battle, but they were no match for him. A venerable man, who defeated more than 100 venerable men head-on, was the first person under half a star. In terms of the giant Mosquito clan's talent, blood-sucking can actually enhance their strength. The effect is so unbelievable. The venerable was killed by him until he cried, "Who is this man?" A number of signed or unsigned news reports flooded the entire internet and media. Some strong men came forward to publicize the fact that this strong man was the enemy of the entire Northern Star territory. Some strong men said that the strong man Jia Yan might be a strong man from a powerful race far away and should not be offended easily. Regarding all this, Jia Yan himself did not expect the shock to the entire Northern Star territory. You must know that a newly promoted venerable can defeat more than 100 venerables. This is no longer something that a venerable can do. It is almost impossible for even a strong person from the second level to do such a thing. Only the rare semi-star level experts in the Northern Star field can do it. However, no one knows what the strength of a semi-star level strong man is. Jia Yan only knows a little bit through the senior light and shadow monster. Anyway, he understands that his strength reaches this level and he can survive in the hands of such a strong man. That's enough. Regarding his own news, Jia Yan also looked online. Some media described him as belonging to a large family, which made him dumbfounded. But his thoughts remained unchanged, and he was still flying forward. Of course, what he didn't know was that after he defeated more than 100 venerables in this star field, this news directly caused the fleets ahead of several forces that wanted to cause trouble for him to unexpectedly withdraw directly. Inviting more than 100 venerables at one time is not something that just any force can do at once. What's more, the Love Force almost used self-defeating measures to force many strong men to arrest Jia Yan. After this failure, the Ai Tang forces no longer need to exist. All of them have been defeated and scattered, and they have fled everywhere. And other forces are unwilling to follow in their footsteps. Besides, Jia Yan has also proved that it cannot be defeated by more than 100 sages. Perhaps judging from the strength he has shown, he can no longer be defeated by the number of sages exists. So if you want to defeat Jia Yan, in the entire Northern Star territory, none of the powerful people in the secondary level are qualified. Only half a star exists. On this day, a medium-sized force is located. This medium-sized force runs the armor business of the strong in the central area of the Northern Star territory. There are many powerful people in this family, but the most powerful existence is only 2 powerful people from the secondary level. I heard before that one of the 2 powerful people was killed in Taya Kingdom outside the central area. After Jia Yan was killed, the whole force was in a state of turmoil recently. But before the turmoil could break out, on this day, a slowly approaching warship made the entire force, almost everyone in the force, feel their hearts freeze instantly. It turned out that it was an ordinary-looking battleship. His speed was neither hasty nor slow, but he was extremely determined as he flew towards the medium-sized hand in the starry sky. An ordinary-looking battleship shouldn't attract attention, but this one is different. Who is the most eye-catching presence in the Northern Star territory today? Not those semi-star level powerhouses who rarely appear in the public eye. They are not some sub-level experts who stir up trouble in the star field. Not even a native genius from the Northern Star Territory. But there is someone who has some issues with this medium-sized force, Jia Yan. Although the super-powerful being who calls himself the Giant Mosquito Clan looks like a venerable, his strength is not inferior to the strong men in the second level at all, no. Or should I say, it looks like it's even stronger than the strong ones from the second level. Why did Jia Yan come to us? Does he want to cause trouble for us? Our Lord Wolfhead was killed by him, and he actually came back to cause trouble for us. The current strongest person in the medium-sized force, a sub-level powerhouse, was sitting in the force, feeling a little nervous. His strength is slightly weaker than the other original leader, the wolf-headed monster that Jia Yan killed. But the wolf-headed monsters were all killed by Jia Yan. Of course, he will be a little surprised by Jia Yan at this moment. The feeling of fear. I hope he didn't come here to cause trouble. Otherwise, even if this force has some hidden methods and geographical advantages, we really don't know how to deal with this strong man. Especially his ability to travel through space. No solution. The strong man was thinking about these things. At this moment, a letter from that humble battleship reached this force. The one coming from outside the starry sky is naturally Jia Yan. At this moment, his name, including the battleship he sat on, became famous. In this prosperous place where it would be difficult to go anywhere, when passing through some powerful areas, there is no need to pay the tolls and special visiting fees. Everyone could recognize his warship as it passed by, and there were queues at some checkpoints. But when they saw the Jia Yan warship coming, a group of spaceships and warships quickly moved out of the way. Some strong men were so scared that they almost peed when they saw him. It is simply the rhythm of becoming famous all over the world. Of course, this is also the normal state of Jia Yan's strength at this moment. You must know that those semi-star level experts are much more famous than him. If they travel in person, if the people passing by recognize them, they will not only be free of tolls. He was even more enthusiastic in sending money. In this way, Jia Yan is still a little behind them. This medium-sized force is the lair of the wolf-headed monster. I have already sent a request for compensation. My Huo Liao scene became like this. Do you want to not pay the price? Impossible. Jia Yan's behavior at this time is naturally to bully others, but in the starry sky where the strong is supreme, this is normal. When you are strong, you have to pay the price of being bullied before, otherwise, you will be looked down upon. Jia Yan was naturally not someone who didn't want anything in return after being beaten. Now that he came to this force, he directly demanded compensation. Master Jia Yan, right? We have received your claim list, and we fully agree to it. The supplies in the terms will be sent to Taya country immediately. Suddenly, a strong communication was transmitted to the Jia Yan battleship. Okay, I don't have enough energy, please bring me some first. After Jia Yan heard that the other party was actually obedient, he shook his head mockingly, but he wanted to fight at any time. The murderous aura also gradually subsided. The negotiation this time was very simple. It didn't take long for Jia Yan to drive the battleship and leave the power. Sir, Jia Yan has come inside our fortifications. Why don't we open the fortifications? No matter how powerful he is, he may not be able to break through our fortifications, right? He might even be killed by the mechanisms in the fortifications. Maybe, then our power will become famous in the Star Territory. A strong man came to that time and asked with some dissatisfaction. What do you know? Do you think I don't know about Jia Yan's strength? If I guessed correctly, his strength has actually increased since he left the battlefield some time ago. Do you really think that our fortifications can defend him? If you want to live with him, are you not sure that he will come to your doorstep? I see that you have been dancing a lot lately, so you can go back to work for me at the branch at the edge of the star field. This kind of big matter does not require your decision. That time Guanqiang scolded this subordinate fiercely. As for whether Jia Yan was really stronger than when he was besieged by the Venerable, he didn't care. He only knew that this strong man could never be that simple. As for Jia Yan who left, he didn't know that this time, he had actually done a small favor to this powerful person from the second level whose position was unstable. But he didn't care, he just walked along, reaping compensation from the forces along the way. After passing through 3 forces, he arrived at the most central area of the central district, where the headquarters of several major forces are located. Yesterday, the book friend What's Wrong with Being Crazy rewarded me with 12,000 starting coins, which was a 0 less than 10,000 yuan. Thank you. Also, thank you to the book friend The Miserable Water Bottle who rewarded me with another 1,000 starting coins. Thank you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 766. In the starry sky, a battleship was sailing slowly. This is a battleship belonging to a high-level starry sky-level being. There are more high-level stars in the central area of the northern star field, but this does not mean that their status has been reduced. On the contrary, because there are many forces here, the status of high-level stars is faintly higher than that of the outside world. Looks taller. Fighting in the high-level starry sky period does not require much responsibility, and usually has a certain say in the power. As long as such a being is a better person, he will be successful in the future. This is the case for this existence. Unlike the ordinary starry sky level ones who do not have a high status, he is already a high-ranking and powerful existence in his own large force. He is taking the path of brainwave power, and because the direction he takes is very unusual, he is valued among the forces and is called a genius in the high-level starry sky level. So when he was flying a battleship, he was used to being a bit arrogant. Huh? There is actually another inspection gate ahead. There are too many inspection gates. The senior starry sky class looked at the front of the starry sky with some displeasure. There was a long queue of spaceships and battleships. Recently, it seems that the security in the central area of the northern star territory has become tighter. This high-level powerhouse heard that it seems that because of an outsider, the central area is in a state of chaos. Everyone in the medium-sized forces is in danger. Large forces naturally have nothing to fear, but they have also tightened the channels between forces. The emergence of a strong man will not only affect the strength of forces in the universe, but also affect the economy of a certain force or country. It is said that the strong man's name is Jia Yan, right? A high-level being in the starry sky who I made friends with a few days ago said that Jia Yan was in the force he was in. As a result, a medium-sized force with a dignified appearance, actually he didn't dare to say anything and directly compensated the other party. Not to mention, after his power, the stock price plummeted, and he was included in the first batch of layoffs. It was miserable. The strong man sneered. If you ask me, then Jia Yan must be a liar. No matter how talented he is just an outsider. And I heard that he came from a deserted galaxy. What kind of strong person can come out of that place? No matter how talented he is, can he compare to me? If he is met by me, I would like to see if I, the top genius in the central district, can surpass him. Well, master, you are wrong to say that. Jia Yan's reputation is too great now. Some people even said that he destroyed a battleship team composed of hundreds of venerables in one go. If you meet him, thousands of don't do anything stupid. In this battleship, there is also an old-looking being from the middle period of the stars, and this being is the slave of the genius who drives the battleship. What do you know? If you stop talking, I'll kill you, the powerful genius glared at the old being impatiently. Their warships moved on. But at this moment, the battleship was actually a little unruly, squeezing all the way past the battleship and rushing to the front of the queue. What's wrong with you? There was an ordinary spaceship just now, and I had a conversation with it through the public channel, but I suddenly swallowed the words in my stomach. It turned out that the surrounding spaceships and battleships saw the logo of this genius on the battleship. This logo looks like a big bird, the picture is lifelike, and it seems to be coming to life. And the surrounding creatures all understand that this is the location of a famous large-scale force in the Northern Star Territory, the Whitebird War Department. You must know that the large forces in the Northern Star region are completely different from the medium-sized forces that are only one level apart. Because a medium-sized force, no matter how powerful it is, no matter how big its business is, or even how many resources it has, it is impossible to become a member of a large force. And a large force, no matter how famous it is, no matter how many people there are, even in the agent in this star field is only an early existence in the starry sky, and will always be a large force. The reason is that every large force in the northern star field is destined to have an external headquarters behind it, and each of their forces must have the shadow of a powerful star. You must know the existence of the sidereal period. If you come to the northern star field, don't talk about anything else. 1. Just one strong person can wipe out the entire star field. Who dares to be dissatisfied with large forces? This talented man passed one by one until he came to the front of the team, and a battleship blocked his way. Huh? How dare you block me? Zinkong's high-level genius was a little surprised at this time. The battleship blocking the front is just a very ordinary battleship, and there is no sign of any force on its appearance. For the strong men in the central area, it is almost as good as the words "I am a wandering strong man" written on the outside of the battleship. A few big words. When this strong man saw the ordinary battleship in front of him, his face turned ugly. Then he directly opened the public channel and drank. "Get out of here." All the spaceships and battleships in the surrounding starry sky heard such a domineering voice. Those who had not noticed this powerful battleship before now turned their eyes and looked at the commotion. The surrounding creatures were shocked when they saw the battleship of the genius flying in the starry sky, especially the logo of the large force on the battleship. But when this group of creatures looked sympathetically at the battleship blocking the way in front of them, each one of them showed an expression as if they had seen a ghost. After that, everyone's expressions felt like they were watching the fun. It turns out that in front of the battleship of this genius and powerful man is a battleship that has often appeared in the media recently. No one had paid attention to this battleship just now, but if you look carefully now, you will find that it is the battleship that caused countless living beings to tremble. Regretful powerful battleship. The giant Mosquito clan, the invincible venerable, Jia Yan's battleship. That's right, the one blocking the way in front of the genius battleship that day was Jia Yan. At this time, he looked at the domineering battleship behind with some surprise, feeling that it was just a high-level starry sky period, and he had some dumbfounding thoughts. It seems that my name is not very famous in this star field. This small starry sky high-ranking person dares to point fingers at me and wants me to give way. Jia Yan shook his head coldly. The genius high-level starry sky being at the rear saw that the battleship in front did not move even after his roar, and he became a little angry at this moment. As a young genius, he rarely encountered anyone in the central district who dared to block his way. Although some strong men also belonged to big forces, they usually had logos on their warships. This warship style meant that it did not belong to a big power. In addition, there were no logos on it, so he naturally didn't take it seriously at the moment. Humph, this venerable gentleman thinks he seems to be stronger than me, so he dares not to give way to me. I am a genius. Killing enemies across ranks is as easy as eating and drinking water for me. Look at how I can defeat his battleship and even his people. Destroy it directly. The high-level starry sky expert rushed directly towards the outside of the battleship. Although he might not be able to kill Jia Yan, he was very sure of defeating the opponent. This battleship seems to look familiar somewhere. Only the old starry midterm powerhouse was looking at the battleship blocking the road ahead on the battleship screen, with doubts flashing in his eyes. Finally, he remembered something. No. Master, you can't go, this. This starry midtermer was shocked at the moment. He hurriedly flew towards the outside world together, trying to stop his overconfident young master. The two figures arrived outside the battleship almost one after the other. The young starry sky high-level being directly launched his brainwave power and bombarded the surface of Jia Yan's battleship. The entire starry sky was distorted for a moment, which showed how terrifying this attack was. But the young powerhouse was surprised to find that his blow was directly offset by a brainwave power emanating from inside the battleship. Huh? Is it really quite good? The starry sky high-level genius said in astonishment. Master, don't do anything, he is. At this moment, the old starry midterm powerhouse had also chased him out. When he saw his master's blow hitting the surface of the battleship ahead without causing any damage, his expression suddenly changed and he rushed forward to stop his young master. Find the book garden. No one can save him, huh, go against me unexpectedly. Before the old monster could continue, the genius starry sky high-level being launched another attack directly that day. There was another bombardment of brainwave power in the starry sky. The special thing about this high-level genius in the starry sky is that his brainwave power can actually detonate directly after contacting the target. This is also the power of environmental control that he may master after becoming a venerable in the future. You must know that if this power reaches the venerable, it will be equivalent to a self-propelled fort. This is the reason why the large force he belongs to values him very seriously. This is also the capital of this talented man who was extremely proud in the past. But today he encountered a tough problem. The power of the explosion was still decoyed directly before it came into contact with the opponent's warship. The power fluctuation caused by the explosion was just like a huge firework set off in the starry sky. Master, run away quickly. This person is the invincible venerable. At the next moment, the old monster finally flew in front of the talented man, grabbed his figure directly, and was about to escape. What? The invincible venerable? Jia Yan? Haha, just right. I will show the world my strength. Even this invincible venerable can kill the enemy beyond a level and kill him. Get out of my way. When the young genius heard the name of the battleship ahead, not only was he not afraid, but he showed an excited expression. He pushed the old monster away fiercely, and then rushed towards the Jia Yan battleship ahead. He still wants to fight? Invincible venerable? What the hell is this? Among the ordinary battleships ahead, Jia Yan recalled the old monster's words with some surprise. But come to think of it, the media in the central area of the Northern Star region gave him a random nickname, right? Of course, the invincible venerable actually matches his own strength. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 767. A genius can remember the address of this website in 1 second, ding ding, the fastest update. No ads? Jia Yan shook his head confidently. Then he raised his head, and the screen of the battleship showed that the high-level starry sky level being had flown to the front of his battleship and was about to launch an attack. The power of brain waves can actually explode directly. It is also an interesting talent, but... He shook his head again. At the same moment, the confident high-level starry sky level genius came to the front of the Jia Yan battleship, and his brainwave power exploded. This blow was bound to blow up Jia Yan's battleship. His strength lies in the power of brain waves, and he has fought with several venerables in the past. His strength can even compete with the venerables, and even now, this strong man thinks that if he uses all his strength, those venerables who have friendly fights with him will definitely die under his full strength. Today, when Jia Yan appeared in front of him, he felt that he was about to become famous. Defeat the hugely popular Jia Yan and reach the highest level of genius in the entire Northern Star territory. and at this moment when he was having a sweet dream. Presumptuous. The genius high-level expert only heard a terrifying brainwave power vibration burst out from the battleship in front. This, he didn't even have time to react, and he was directly enveloped by the brainwave power. This young high-level expert actually felt an extremely terrifying power at this moment. It seemed that as long as a little bit of this brainwave power was leaked, he could be killed directly. So strong. It's impossible for me to block this and this. The high-level starry sky-level genius was stunned. Then the brainwave power he had just burst out was wrapped by the opponent's brainwave power, and then was thrown directly into the subspace. The explosion of huge energy was directly eliminated invisible. He was simply shocked. What he thought was his greatest reliance on being able to kill enemies across levels was so easily destroyed by the opponent at this moment. This was too casual. This man who thought he was a genius felt discouraged at this moment. He was hit hard. It turns out that there is such a big gap between my own strength and the real invincible master? No, this strong man must have used all his strength. He seemed relaxed. He must have used all his strength in the battleship to suppress me. This high-level genius was directly and firmly controlled by the power of space environment control, and he thought a little unable to move. Jia Yan's strength was simply unfathomable to him now, but he still insisted on his own idea, believing that his strength was very close to that of his opponent. But the next moment, his idea was severely slapped in the face again. It turned out that he only saw the hatch of the battleship slowly opening. A flying creature with a calm expression flew out of it easily. This is the face of the genius, the invincible venerable that we once saw in the media. Humph, you are provoking me with this kind of strength? Little guy, haven't your adults taught you that strong people can't be provoked casually? Jia Yan seemingly casually flew in front of this high-level genius, and then said indifferently. You, Jia Yan looked at the talented man that day and almost lost his mind. This was the natural suppression caused by the huge gap in strength. He couldn't even speak at the moment. He had very little actual combat experience, and when he saw a real strong man like Jia Yan who fought between life and death, he was nothing. Sir. Master Jia Yan, please spare my master. He is still young. Please spare him. At this moment, the old monster in the starry sky who had fled far away actually ran back again, kneeling in the starry sky and begging bitterly. You do have a good servant. Jia Yan looked back at the old monster, as if he saw the old Suawa from before, and his attitude became a little softer at this moment. If you can, don't let me go. Let's see if I, Shiratori Sentu, will kill you. The high-level genius in the starry sky yelled harshly at this moment. Master, the old monster over there shouted, seeming to blame his master for being so brainless and provoking Jia Yan under such circumstances. He didn't dare to talk to other powerful people like this old monster, but this being known as the Invincible Lord was very close to a semi-star level figure. Others would be afraid of large forces, but Jia Yan would be afraid? Totally impossible. Oh, are you from Bird War Hall? But to the old monster's surprise, Jia Yan looked at the talented high-level expert with some interest and asked in surprise. Seeing him like this, the strong man calmed down that day. As long as you know, let me go as soon as possible, otherwise, I, Senior Bangzingzing of Zhantang, will definitely not let you go. Haha, okay, then I will just ask you a few questions. After I finish asking them, you can leave. Jia Yan's eyes flashed with an inexplicable look, and then he said with a bright light. What's the problem? Naturally, the talented man wouldn't believe everything Jia Yan said that day, but now that the other party said it, he didn't want to leave in humiliation. If there are just a few questions, it would be disrespectful to not pay them. Let me ask you, have you ever seen a semi-star level expert in your power do anything? Jia Yanfu asked with a brighter look in his eyes. Well, I haven't seen them directly, but I have a general idea of their strength. In an instant, they can kill all the beings on a planet that are below the midterm of the starry sky. For them, it is as simple as eating and drinking. That day, the high-level genius was a little surprised that Jia Yan would ask such a question. A half-star level existence had absolute commanding power in every force. If this being asked this question, did he really think he could challenge a half-star powerhouse? What a joke. This is like a mortal trying to challenge a god, there is no chance at all. Regardless of the fact that the venerable master and the powerful people from the second level are both said to be one step away from being a half-star powerhouse, a half-star level existence has the word star in its name. It's not a lie. Otherwise, how could you dare to use the word star? Their strength is as far behind as the most powerful secondary level experts. If they really want to fight, a large group of secondary level experts might not be able to defeat a half-star expert. Oh, then let me ask you again, how many half-star experts are there in the Whitebird War Hall? What is their strength? Jia Yan asked with a sparkle in his eyes. The talented man that day was about to speak. Boom. In this moment, Jia Yan felt that the surrounding starry sky, creatures, battleships, and everything seemed to be far away in an instant. The entire world was almost frozen. Jia Yan felt that the power of his brain waves could only be released to the surface of his body, not even a millimeter. It's not that he didn't show off his brainwave power, but that at this moment, the brainwave power was directly suppressed by some powerful force. Your Excellency Jia Yan. Since you want to know the strength of us immortals so much, you might as well try it yourself. How? 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 A series of terrifying sonic sounds shook Jia Yan's hearing organs, making his whole body tremble and almost fainting. Who? He managed to rouse himself, then raised his brainwave power to its peak state, and then looked at the sky in the distance with shining eyes. At this moment, Jia Yan's whole body was filled with the illusion of being targeted by a dangerous animal. This feeling was very similar to the feeling he had when he was a little mosquito being targeted by a bat when he was weak. This is a gap in biological levels, just like when a herbivore meets a carnivore, sometimes it cannot even move. The other party didn't even use too much power at this moment. The unfathomable strength just exuded a trace of feeling and actually suppressed Jia Yan completely. Huh? You can still move, and your strength is just that of a beginner. With your ability to resist me, you are worthy of the recently famous giant mosquito clan. The owner of the voice seemed to see that Jia Yan could still move. Somewhat surprised. Who are you anyway? As Jia Yan asked, he looked at the starry sky in the distance. There seemed to be a shadow of a monster slowly approaching. At the same time, the thoughts in his mind were spinning rapidly. The power of this creature is simply one of the most powerful ones I have seen since my rebirth. In addition to the great existence, Zhao Shuyuan also has the master of senior light and shadow, he is the strongest. Judging from his tone and his ability to suppress me, the identity of the other party is self-evident, he is actually a half-star existence. Jia Yan was thinking rapidly in his mind, and he was also shocked at the same time. He calculated that sooner or later he would encounter a half-star level being in the central area of the northern star field, but he never expected that he would meet him so soon. As for the semi-star level existence, his strength was indeed beyond imagination. He only used force control from a distance. His brainwave power and environment control power were suppressed by the opponent. But this is normal. Jia Yan's strength focuses on physical combat. Although his brainwave power is far superior to that of ordinary strong men, it is not as powerful as physical combat. It is normal to be suppressed at this moment. Your Excellency Jia Yan, have I, a genius child in your power, brought you trouble? In this case, I will invite you to be a guest at the Whitebird War Hall. During the introduction, I will personally escort the child to apologize to you. Apologize. Jia Yan looked at the entity approaching from afar. The other person's body had grown bigger and bigger as he spoke. In less than 10 breaths, he was less than 100 kilometers away. It turned out to be a half-star senior from the Whitebird War Hall. Jia Yan's eyes suddenly flashed as he spoke. He wanted to fight against a semi-star level strongman to prove his strength, but at this moment, it would be a bit unworthy to fight him just because of this talented high-level starry sky level. Thinking of this, Jia Yan's figure suddenly shook. At this moment, his body violently shook out a small hole from the control power of this semi-star level existence. At the same time, Jia Yan's voice sounded. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 768. Humph, a half-star level powerhouse. Jia Yan felt a little sinister in his heart, and then he actually spoke again. Forget it, since this boy is the junior you are paying attention to, I will give you a face and let's have an interview next time. After saying that, he actually broke out of the encirclement and retreated directly through this small opening. Oh, Your Excellency, Jia Yan has come to my Whitebird War Hall. As the master, how can I keep my friend from entering? You'd better stay and come in for a chat. The half-star powerhouse who flew from far away had strengthened his brainwave power and still seemed to want to keep Jia Yan. Since Jia Yan had already exposed a gap, how could he catch him? The vacuum environment in front of him was distorted, and the next moment, he was back inside his battleship. Well, is this your Lord Jia Yan's space travel ability? It is indeed very powerful. But the semi-constant powerhouse wanted to continue to release energy to capture, but at this moment, he felt an equally powerful force coming from not far away. In shock, he stopped his arresting actions. Jia Yan, who was in the center of the war zone, quickly activated the battleship's jumping ability. The battleship and people of the Instant Company disappeared into the starry sky. This Jia Yan is so strong, he can actually escape from the hands of a semi-star level expert. The people and strong men who were watching the battle felt even more miraculous about Jia Yan's strength at this moment. Escape from a half-star level powerhouse is not something that ordinary powerhouses can do. Even the most powerful people in the second level are basically unable to do it. There seem to be only a few cases in history where the strong people in the second level have escaped from the semi-star level powerhouses. But this Jia Yan only respected. Have you achieved the level of a professional? This is so unbelievable. He is truly worthy of the title of Invincible Venerable. The looming strong man has not appeared until now, but everyone can feel the momentum of his existence. The genius starry sky high-level powerhouse here took his old monster subordinates and boarded the battleship arrogantly, and then flew directly in the direction of the half-star level powerhouse. It can be seen that this half-star level powerhouse is not will show up. This made a group of people and powerful people who wanted to see this half-star powerhouse a little disappointed. But what they don't know is that there is more than just a semi-star level powerhouse in the distant land. Oh! It turns out to be Mr. Zhu from Kairui Hall. I wonder why you stopped me. The speaker was a monster whose whole body was white and covered with white scales. His body reached a terrifying height of more than 500 meters that Jia Yan had never seen before, and the space around him was in a constant state of shock. It felt like even heaven and earth were bowing down to him. But on the other side, the Zhu who was about 1,000 kilometers away was also a being with an extremely terrifying aura. Haha, the Whitebird War Hall is really full of talents. 100 years ago, Lord Bingbei was just a sub-level powerhouse. Now he has been promoted to the semi-star level. It is gratifying. Over there, Zhu's entire body was almost in the vacuum background, and his actual body appearance could not be seen clearly. At this moment, he was just smiling, but it made the traces of the starry sky seem to collapse, which shows how powerful he is. Okay, there's no need for small talk. Tell me why you stopped me. You should know that my absorption of the existence of Jia Yan is only a matter of merit in the Northern Star Territory. The half-star level strong person here Bingbei seemed to pay no attention to the voice over there, and just asked directly. Don't be angry, Your Excellency Bing Bai, Jia Yan's background is a bit strange. I stopped you just because I was afraid that your Whitebird Warhol would get into trouble. What's more, even if he can really make a profit for me, why would he want you Whitebird? Where will the Warhol accept him? I, Chirui Pavilion, am the first one to fall in love with him. I hope that the Whitebird Warhol will not take over others. Humph, what a steal. Kairyuatang had already secretly ambushed me back then. Doesn't he want me to settle accounts with Katang now? Haha, I don't mean that. Well, I'm going to see if I can find this Jia Yan. I'll see you again when I have the chance. Two half-star level experts, after a fierce and fiery verbal battle, were safe and sound and no fighting broke out. Not long after, the high-level star-level genius drove the spaceship to the semi-star-level powerhouse of the Whitebird Battle Hall. Sir, you have to make the decision for me. This Jia Yan has gone too far. He actually wants to kill me. If we don't retaliate against him, our Whitebird Warhol's reputation as a large force in the Northern Star Territory will be lost. As soon as he arrived at the starry sky, the talented man got off the battleship and began to cry around the tall and powerful man. Shut up. You are inferior to others, so why are you talking about revenge? And don't think that I don't know what you did just now. If you don't control your temper, you will be killed by yourself in the future. Do you understand? The tall white monster cursed angrily. If he hadn't happened to be near the starry sky, this junior he valued more might have been killed by Jia Yan. Perhaps it was because he was loved too much on weekdays and scolded by the great semi-star level senior, but that day the genius starry sky level was still a little aggrieved. Humph, my skills are not as good as others. If I can cultivate to the level of the venerable, I will definitely kill him. Just wait, with my talent, it only takes 100 years to catch up with him. When the time comes, I will personally kill this Jia Yan. Hearing this starry sky level genius say this, the white semi-star level being was startled, then shook his head, staring directly at him with his huge head. Boy, just give up on this idea. Do you think Jia Yan's talent is still inferior to yours? It's ridiculous. We have collected information about him from several major forces. If you know his promotion speed and age, it is estimated that you will be so discouraged that you will lose your ambition to be promoted. Anyway, you are being compared with him. You just need to know one thing. In our Northern Star region, there has never been a person with such talent as him. It is precisely because of this that we dare not move even more. If we provoke him, we should not the existence of provoking, Sci. Well, his talent is better than mine? You have to know that it only took me more than 200 years to reach my current level. Didn't he use it for 200 years? It's impossible. The genius said that he was a little shocked. Language. More than 200 years? The half-star level expert who was listening shook his head speechlessly at this moment. If Jia Yan really spent more than 100 years practicing to reach this level, although it is extremely amazing, it is not enough to make the entire Northern Star. The upper echelons of the domain were shocked, but according to their analysis, Jia Yan's actual age. Probably not even over 100 years old. You must know that the dozens of years old venerable has never been heard of in the Northern Star Territory. What's more, this venerable's combat power far exceeds their imagination. The scene just now can explain that the venerable Jia Yan was able to escape from the hands of his half-star level existence. Although the half-star level strongman of Kairyui Hall destroyed it for a moment in the end, this is enough to explain. The fact is that Jia Yan also has a certain ability to protect himself in the face of a semi-star level powerhouse. With such a talent, how can the junior in front of me compare with him? Bing Bai smiled bitterly. I hope he won't be a member of some super large race. However, the giant Mosquito clan, do they really have such a powerful race? If there is no such a powerful race at all, then the major forces in the Northern Star region have long been ready to move. I guess I couldn't help it anymore and robbed people. Bing Bei thought about that scene for a while, then shook his head in disbelief and gave up the idea. Go back, but I am very dissatisfied with your performance when you go out this time. After you go back, you will not be allowed to go out for 10 years. Bing Bei directly involved the high-level Starry Sky genius who still wanted revenge on Jia Yan. The battleship, and then he and the battleship flew away from here. And in a distant land hundreds of millions of kilometers away, a warship that had just flown out not long ago could never imagine that there was something to say behind the scenes where the battle had just taken place. At this moment, inside the battleship, Jia Yan recalled with some confusion the scene where he had just faced a semi-star level powerhouse. Find bookstore. As expected of a semi-star level existence, I feel a little powerless just against the opponent's power suppression. Jia Yan felt a little scared when he thought about the power that was like a mountain pressing down on him. He had not experienced this level of pressure for a long time. Moreover, the other party was still far away from Jia Yan at that time. Jia Yan could not imagine to what extent the brainwave power would be enhanced if the other party was close. But I have also calculated that a half-star level existence is only powerful in terms of brainwave power, especially the use and control of the environment, which will be extremely terrifying. The place where I am temporarily powerful is my own body. If the other party I'm really close, and with the combat skills taught to me by Senior Light and Shadow, I won't be able to fight. Of course, the possibility of winning is extremely low. It can only be said that I am sure of escaping. After this confrontation with a semi-star level powerhouse, Jia Yan finally had a more intuitive idea of half-star level existence. In fact, Jia Yan was wrong in some places, and in some places he overestimated the other party's expectations. But this time he met a semi-star level being, which gave him a yardstick for positioning his own strength. Well, in this central area, I am destined to fight against some semi-star level beings, because my purpose of coming here is not only to help Senior Light and Shadow ask for energy, but also to verify my strength. So there is no need to rush. Now we just need to summarize the gains from this confrontation and think clearly about the plan to deal with the semi-star level existence. Otherwise, if we confront them directly, we will most likely lose. Jia Yan was not in a hurry. At this moment, he felt the starry sky behind him. After realizing that there were no pursuers, he let the battleship fly by itself, while he slowly entered into his thoughts. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 769. What Jia Yan didn't know was that there were actually strong men searching for him behind him. Just the space jump of Jia Yan's warship jumped hundreds of millions of kilometers in one breath. Even a half-star level existence could not directly use the power of brain waves to find his location. At this moment, he accidentally found the wrong place and missed Jia Yan. Jia Yan, a being, faced off with a semi-star level strongman, and then even escaped from the opponent's hands for the first time. This incident was quickly posted on the internet and by the people and strongmen who witnessed it. In the media, some smart people had already started recording images at that time. A series of events have been shared countless times by countless combat enthusiasts online. The giant mosquito clan Jia Yan, who has become more and more famous recently, has become even more terrifying at this moment. He was able to escape from the hands of a half-star strong man. Could it be that this man is not just an invincible venerable, but the number one person under half a star? It's too exaggerated. Half of the media do not believe it. Some people say that this is Jia Yan mobilizing the power of the media to build momentum for himself. So is it a fake battle? Wei Yuxin interviewed the seniors of the Whitebird War Hall. Every media outlet was frightened by the invincible venerable Jia Yan at this moment. Because this existence is unprecedented. Not only has it occupied countless pages in the media recently, but it has also caused countless impacts on various industries in the entire Northern Star territory. It is not only the media and powerful people who have impacted, but also the financial industry. There was turmoil. For example, if one of the forces that Jia Yan visited was not dealt with properly, their stocks would fall sharply. It would not only hurt the company, but also the foundation of some forces, and even ordinary people would be deeply hurt. And because of the interference of various forces, the evaluation of Jia Yan in today's Northern Star territory has all kinds of opinions. Some say he is great, some say he is fake, some look down upon him, and some are just plain stupid. No matter what he did, it was all about slander. Therefore, even though Jia Yan, a strong man, came to the Northern Star territory by himself and traveled all the way alone, the turmoil he caused was far-reaching. He himself did not expect such fluctuations. But for Jia Yan, it was destined that he came to the center of the Northern Star territory. If a strong man wants to become stronger, it is his natural instinct to go to higher places. If there are strong men in the central area, Jia Yan he is just here. He is a being from the distant starry sky. He is not his home anywhere in this star field. He is running around everywhere without the slightest thought for the creatures in this starry sky. If a person does not act for himself, he will be punished by heaven and earth. In the eyes of strong people, this is also an extremely normal theory. Hey, Taya country actually sent me a message saying that Taya country's economic and political situation has been unprecedentedly good recently. Yes, and some of the projects under development have made great progress thanks to the recent good situation. While Jia Yan was thinking about how to fight against semi-stellar beings, he also paid attention to the situation in Taya. Kama told him that the Taya kingdom has been rapidly stabilized recently, and even some scattered battles have completely disappeared, and there are no diplomatic obstacles. It is almost the most prosperous scene of the Taya kingdom that year. Kama's talent in government affairs must not be inferior to her military talent. It seems that I was wrong to underestimate her before. But all this is gone for me. My path will only be to become stronger. After reading the message, Jia Yan closed the message. While he had time, he also focused on his clone. The clone is still traveling in the universe, because the energy of the space capsule is somewhat insufficient. In order to save energy, he slowed down and switched to using renewable energy for navigation. Therefore, it took longer than expected to reach the capital star from the western region of the Rulan Empire. It takes a little longer. It just so happens that Jia Yan's real body has been a little busy recently. After all, his strength needs to be supported by his real body, so it doesn't matter if he wastes a little time at this moment. Jia Yan's customized policy is to focus on his real body recently. My strength has an advantage over the semi-star level, and that is my shuttle ability and my way of avoiding battles. As for these two fighting methods, I have not even conducted further research and development when I was promoted to the Venerable. If I can further improve these two abilities in the coming days, then for me, maybe I can take a step closer and get a stronger combat effectiveness with the existing energy. Jia Yan was thinking. He knew his strength. After fighting with more than 100 Venerables some time ago, he had already reached the benefit period of being promoted to an evolved beast. That is to say, it is already the strongest state of this mutation. But in this state, it seems that he is not qualified to directly fight with a half-star level being. The only way Jia Yan can think of is to redevelop his existing combat skills. This is not impossible, because after his promotion this time, his combat skills are still at the high-level star level. It's just about having great control over energy. But in fact, the beginning of the battle taught by the light and shadow monster is far from being that simple. With the plan in mind, Jia Yan began research. After today, although he was still in the central area of the Northern Star region, he neither docked at the port nor came into contact with other warships and spaceships. News about Jia Yan quickly disappeared. There were only a few reports of encounters and sightings, and apart from these, news about him became increasingly scarce. 2 full months have passed. No matter how powerful Jia Yan is, the media and the internet keep saying that it is just that little thing every day. So slowly, the public's attention is attracted to other places, and his existence has become somewhat hidden. Of course, everyone already knows him. As long as there is news, they will definitely remember this existence immediately. Jia Yan did not keep people waiting for too long. 2 months later, powerful beings in the Northern Star territory were still thinking about Jia Yan's whereabouts. But one day, this existence actually came directly to the bright side. The central area of the Northern Star territory, and it is the most central place in the central area. There is an extremely huge door here, which seems to cut the entire starry sky directly, with neither the beginning nor the end visible. The existence of this door gives viewers an indescribable psychological pressure, and they feel a sense of awe for the beings who come here. In fact, the creatures who come here, whether they are ordinary creatures or truly powerful, will definitely be in awe of the power of this door. Because the force behind this door is one of the largest forces in the entire Northern Star territory, and it is said that the powerful ones are also the most powerful in the entire Northern Star territory. Mercenary organization. One has been proven, spanning several nearby areas, and has its presence everywhere except the Northern Star territory. Such an interstellar force completely surpasses other forces in the Northern Star territory. In order to respect him, all forces have no intention of competing with the mercenary organization and have left the central golden area in the center of the Northern Star territory to it was given to the mercenary organization as its headquarters. And just outside this organization, a battleship arrived today. Who is coming? The mercenary organization does not allow foreign warships to pass through the main entrance. If you have a pass, please go through the side entrance. Just when the battleship arrived outside the door of the mercenary organization, a 200-meter tall black shadow appeared near the battleship almost instantly, speaking without any emotion. Pass? I don't have a pass. But what surprised the black monster was that the being in the battleship answered calmly in a calm tone. Don't have a pass? Get lost. If you want to be a mercenary, just go to the ordinary mercenary hall. Our headquarters is not accessible to ordinary people. Even a mere venerable person wants to enter without a reservation, huh? The powerful black shadow man was a venerable level being. He seemed to be used to being domineering. When he heard that the warship was about to enter the mercenary organization's headquarters without an appointment, he suddenly became angry and used his brainwave power. This force is a thrust, but it has no intention of harming the battleship. As the venerable of the mercenary organization, even though this being is guarding the gate, his strength is still unfathomable, and there is no way that the venerable from the outside can be his opponent. Even the opponent did not dare to resist. But the brainwave power released by this strong man was suddenly blocked by the venerable presence in the battleship, who suddenly released an understatement of brainwave power. Huh? He actually blocked it. This black shadow existence seemed to be very surprised and let out a light sigh. But soon his anger burst out. You actually want to break through the gate of the mercenary organization by force? It seems that I won't give you any trouble. This strong man's power is about to explode. I'm sorry, please tell me. My name is Jia Yan. I have long admired the name of the mercenary organization, and I came here to visit your organization today. Unexpectedly, before this strong man broke out, the existence in the battleship directly made a sound. I don't care whether you are a real rock or a fake rock, Jia Yan. The black shadow existed, and he wanted to mock and continue to use force against the battleship in front of him, but just as he used a little bit of his power, he suddenly froze. Jia Yan? This name seems familiar. Could it be that the invincible venerable who caused an uproar in the entire Northern Star Territory some time ago? And the Jia Yan who also escaped with his life from a half-star strong man? Are you Jia Yan? The venerable level monster stopped and looked at the style of the battleship. At a glance, he could directly see the clues about the shadow of the battleship that had appeared countless times in the media. At this moment he was no longer calm. Thanks to the book friend the miserable Aquarius for another reward of 1,000 starting coins, and also to the brother the tiger who eats pigs for another reward, reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito author, Bulletin U. Chapter 770. Beat. Although this shadow monster guarding the gate is confident in his own strength, the opponent is known as the Invincible Lord. If he fights, he will definitely lose, and the opponent's identity is enough for him to break the rules and retaliate without a pass. Okay, you wait, I'll report back. After saying that, the venerable didn't dare to fight anymore and flew directly into the huge door. The warships from the outside world were quietly staying at the gate of the mercenary organization where no one dared to stop. Several warships of outsiders, either doing business or coming to negotiate, all entered through the side door dozens of kilometers away. Only this warship was neither a sign of a mercenary organization nor one of other major forces. The battleship is docked here. Isn't that Jia Yan's battleship? Did Jia Yan come here to cause trouble for the mercenary union? It's impossible. To cause trouble for the mercenary union is to seek death. It's really hard to tell. This Jia Yan has been running rampant in the Northern Star Territory for a long time. At this moment, he might think that his strength can compete with the mercenary union. This is a matter of a strong man's vision. After all, he is just a guy who came out of a deserted galaxy. No matter how talented he is just a country boy. Haha, who can say otherwise? This Jia Yan's talent is sufficient, but almost all the things he does are reckless, which shows that his character is to seek death. If he really comes to trouble the mercenary union today, let's see how he died. Among the creatures, it was not ordinary beings who could come to the headquarters of the mercenary union. At this moment, seeing Jia Yan actually come directly to the headquarters of the mercenary union, they just wondered if Jia Yan was here to cause trouble, but they didn't. Because I saw Jia Yan, I felt scared or something. And the battleship at the entrance of the mercenary organization was naturally driven by Jia Yan. At this moment, he was driving the battleship and slowly stopped at the gate of the mercenary organization, which was as large as tens of kilometers. This mercenary organization is indeed the most powerful force in the Northern Star Territory. Just looking at the flow of people coming and going from this facade and the side door at this moment, you can tell that it is not simple, and all the creatures dare not make any sound. Jia Yan looked at the mercenary organization Wanbang coming to court with emotion. If the Earth can become a similar existence in Orion's arm, then Jia Yan will be happy. However, Jia Yan did not think so far at this moment. If the Earth wants to reach a similar point, it cannot be achieved by the deterrence of Jia Yan, a strong person. After all, the suppression of a strong person will only be terror, and a civilization or force wants to make the world reach a similar level. It is only possible for people to be convinced if their own soft and hard strength is achieved. If the current Earth can reach a similar status in Jia Yan's lifetime, he will be very satisfied. Okay, Master Jia Yan, please come in. Not long after, the shadowy man appeared at the door and respectfully invited Jia Yan to enter. Jia Yan didn't say anything, he just drove the battleship, followed the black shadow, and slowly entered the mercenary union. There is actually a sense of uncertainty about Jia Yan's strength within the mercenary union at this moment, but he is still here because in the past 2 months, his progress has been pretty good, especially in terms of escaping. Having made rapid progress, now that they have arrived at the headquarters of the mercenary union, there is nothing to be afraid of. Under the instructions of the Black Shadow monster, the battleship docked at the port where the mercenary union docked. Jia Yan followed the black shadow and headed towards a planet inside the door. In fact, the headquarters of the mercenary organization will naturally not be built in the starry sky, but an entire Earth-like planet will be transformed into the headquarters planet. This is a planet that is larger than the Earth, but the transformation of the entire planet is too advanced. Both the land and the ocean seem to be man-made. There are beautiful scenery everywhere, including snow-capped mountains, and even the weather is very different. It's something humans can control. Jia Yan came here and looked at the surrounding scenery, feeling a little stunned. The headquarters of this mercenary organization is more correct to say that it is a civilization than a headquarters. The black shadow led Jia Yan and flew quickly through the warning nets in front. Countless aircraft and some mecha-like machines flew in the air, checking the passing spacecraft and powerful men. Jia Yan's line seems to have been ordered not to check, because the inspection system is to prevent some weak people from using the blasting system to destroy the mercenary organization headquarters. As for Jia Yan, he has no need for these things at all. He himself is strong enough. The presence. When the two came to the ground, there were no particularly huge cities on the entire planet, and the houses were all far apart. Jia Yan could feel that on this planet, there were some extremely powerful people living there, and the spaceships and warships coming and going were transporting countless cultivation resources to these beings. If I practice in a place like this, maybe it will have some effect on my promotion, right? Jia Yan saw some strong people using powerful energy. Jia Yan's body had a strong attraction, and he suddenly felt a little nervous. A feeling of envy. Of course, his body can transform into a beast. For Jia Yan, his strength basically comes from fighting. Although energy is also needed, he is very sure that if he does not fight, then he will, no matter how much energy material is used, it is impossible to reach the current level. So I was envious, but I didn't really have the slightest idea of cultivating in this environment. Here we are, Lord Jia Yan. Not long after Jia Yan looked at the surrounding scene, the two flying figures arrived in front of a huge castle. Are you here? Jia Yan looked at the huge castle. The size of the entire castle is equivalent to 10 times the size of the Shanghai Stock Exchange on Earth. The gate says Mercenary Organization, Northern Star Territory Branch, and this gate is not an ordinary gate at all. It is taller than the gate in the starry sky, directly 10 kilometers high and more than 40 kilometers wide. Even if warships fly back and forth through this gate, there will be no inconvenience. Our headquarters is not far ahead. The shadow walked forward with Jia Yan. Since they were walking, their speed slowed down a lot, but Jia Yan also happened to take a look at the grand scene of the mercenary organization's headquarters. There are either staff members wearing strange mercenary organization clothes walking around, or outside creatures coming to do business. There are no ordinary people living here at all, because this is the headquarters organization, and there is no possibility of residence. The size of the entire city, Jia Yan can use the power of brain waves to directly cover it, so he can know that there are many powerful people here. There are almost thousands of high-level starry sky level, and there are more than 200 venerable ones. As for the more powerful ones, Jia Yan's feeling is not very clear, because this will cause hostility among these beings. There were still half-star level existences, so Jia Yan didn't even dare to investigate. However, on the way to using brainwave power, he encountered several places where brainwave power could not enter. He had no intention of directly making the other party feel hostile, so he gave up. Exploration. I don't know whether those places are due to technological items that prevent me from detecting them, or whether there are so many semi-star level beings in this mercenary organization. If so, that would be terrible. Jia Yan's expression became a little serious. Even though the pace of the two was not fast, after walking for more than 10 minutes, they arrived in front of a tall building. The shadow monster didn't say much and led Jia Yan forward. Outside the building hall, some clerk creatures were doing some work, and there were also some foreign creatures negotiating with them. Jia Yan and the Black Shadow monster did not stay in this hall, but directly entered the passage at the back. The passage is long, leading to seemingly endless places. Not long after, they came to a gate. "Lord Jia Yan, please come in. There will be people inside that can accommodate you." After saying this, the Black Shadow monster turned back and left. "The person who is qualified enough to receive me, is he a venerable person, or is he a powerful person from a secondary level? This shows how much the mercenary organization values me." Jia Yan thought lightly, and then used the power of brain waves to push open the door in front of him. Quack, quack. A huge iron gate with a height of more than 300 meters, looking for the book garden, was slowly pushed away by Jia Yan. Inside the concierge was a more spacious area, and Jia Yan stepped directly into it. He saw what seemed to be an empty room in the area. The size inside was almost enough for people on Earth to build a residential community here. "You are here, Your Excellency Jia Yan." In the space, a towering figure showed a terrifying posture and said softly. Jia Yan heard the sound, then looked at the huge sound shadow, then shook his head and smiled. "I originally thought that the dignified mercenary organization would only send a sub-level expert to meet me at most, but I didn't expect that it would be an invincible half-star existence. I have seen the adults, please meet me in person, don't be afraid." Although Jia Yan's words were full of humility, he did not even lower his head. Sure enough, above the main hall, there was a tall being reaching 300 meters. He looks very similar to a fox, but the hair all over his body is green, and when the monster looks out, there is almost a ball of flame shooting out, which shows that his power is definitely extraordinary. From the appearance alone, Jia Yan could tell that the opponent was a semi-star level existence, not to mention that the surface of the fox monster's body was always exuding a power that made it difficult for him to get close. "Haha, Jia Yan, we have analyzed your strength, and the final conclusion is that you are truly a genius. Even if you are just a beginner in terms of strength, you are only a step behind us. It is not an exaggeration for me to meet you in person." The fox monster's eyes seemed to contain some kind of strange brilliance. When he looked at Jia Yan's body, it felt as if he was being scratched with a knife, which was extremely terrifying. "I King Tu, since you are here, don't go out," the fox monster said coldly and directly without waiting for Jia Yan to speak. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 771. Genius remembers love mail sign go divided by Xiao. Talk rightward arrow net in 1 second to provide you with wonderful novels to read. Jia Yan's expression was startled when he heard the words of the giant fox. He knew that something good might happen to him when he came to this mercenary organization, but he didn't expect that as soon as he came in front of a half-star level existence, the other party actually revealed his hostility in just 2 sentences. "Are you telling the truth that the mercenary organization wants to keep me?" Jia Yan raised his eyes and looked at the giant fox monster above. "Of course it is true. For the Northern Star territory, your presence is too disruptive to the balance. And don't you think that your appearance has caused huge losses?" The fox monster didn't seem to be in a hurry to control Jia Yan. He just slowly stood up from his crouching body, causing his huge body to create a shadow that almost covered Jia Yan's entire mosquito body. Shrouded in shadow. "My appearance destroys the balance, but what about your organization? Do you think that the mercenary organization being recognized as the #1 organization will not destroy the balance?" Jia Yan was not frightened by his pressure, but continued to retort. Boom! The fox monster took a step forward with its 2 front legs, almost approaching Jia Yan in 1 step. His huge body looked down at Jia Yan. "Of course the mercenary organization is also a balance destroyer, but we will not cause unpredictable damage in the starry sky like you. In less than a year after you appeared, the power of the Northern Star territory was destroyed because of you. Indirectly with direct ones, there are more than 50 in total, you don't know that. Haha, isn't the destruction of the power in the Northern Star Territory always in progress? With or without me, how much worse would it be? Jia Yan stared into the eyes of this fox monster without any fear. Jia Yan felt as if his body was about to burn. There was a faint light of flame in the other person's eyes, causing his body to spontaneously ignite without fire. Strong words. The fox monster suddenly emitted a strange flame from its eyes. Jia Yan's eyes flashed with astonishment, but his reaction was not slow. At this moment, his 6 legs suddenly moved. His speed has grown a lot recently. Although the opponent's brainwave power seemed to suppress him and slowed him down a lot, he still left the place with quick reaction at this moment. Huh, the fox monster let out a surprised cry. Jia Yan was also surprised to find that the flames he just felt released by the other party seemed to have not appeared at all. There was no trace of flames on the ground or in the air. Impossible, I clearly felt the flame just now. Jia Yan turned around and came to the other side of the hall, looking at the fox monster with great vigilance. You are actually able to escape the control of my special brainwave power. Your strength is stronger than the rumors. The fox monster turned his eyes in surprise and said lightly. I guess your excellency King Tu hasn't tried his best, right? Why not try your best? Jia Yan stood aside and counterattacked with the same vehemence. When he said this and looked eager to give it a try, King Tu was startled again. After that, he felt a little bit dumbfounded. Do you really think that you, a mere venerable, can compete with our semi-constant existence? Jia Yan, you are indeed strong and have enough self-confidence, but if you really think that you can compete with the semi-constant existence by yourself, the star rating is totally wrong. He shook his head, as if he was ridiculous at Jia Yan's brainlessness. Haha, I haven't tried it. How do you know that I am not strong enough to fight you? Jia Yan was not defeated by his words, but continued provocatively. A hint of evil flashed in the fox monster's eyes, and a faint force also condensed in its eyes. Jia Yan's heart sank, then his eyes flashed, and he looked at the other party's actions coldly. It seems like a war is about to break out. But while Jia Yan was waiting, the fox monster seemed to faintly hear something. Jia Yan didn't hear it at all. Soon, the fox monster's expression became calm again, but after his eyes turned in the direction of Jia Yan, they became even more gloomy. Never mind. He asked coldly, Your Excellency Jia Yan, you don't come to our mercenary organization just to provoke me, an old guy, do you? Tell me your reason for coming. Jia Yan paused. Just now he thought that the battle he expected with Half-Star would begin at the headquarters of the mercenary organization. Although he has some new tactics and skills from the seniors of Light and Shadow, he still feels a little uncertain about his future in the opponent's lair, and there seem to be other semi-stars here. Now that the opponent suddenly changed his attitude, Jia Yan also wanted it. He wanted to fight a semi-star powerhouse, but he didn't want to fight in the opponent's lair. I came here to ask if there is an energy source called Star Gathering Energy in your mercenary organization. He stopped his counterattack, but he was still vigilant. Huh? Star Gathering Energy. When the fox monster heard this name, the energy in his body suddenly increased again. Jia Yan instantly made a surge of energy to prevent the opponent's attack. Fortunately, the other party didn't seem to have any intention of attacking. But at this moment, when he looked at Jia Yan, there was more surprise in his eyes. This Jia Yan knows what the star gathering energy looks like. Is it true that others say he is a member of some distant powerful race? Or maybe it is what is described in the relics of the strong man on his body? The fox monster became a little surprised and uncertain. Within this mercenary organization, there has long been a dislike for Jia Yan, a person who has disrupted the atmosphere of the entire Northern Star Territory. But as for the sudden appearance of Jia Yan, after they investigated, the clues were interrupted when the other party suddenly appeared from the starry sky in the desolate galaxy. Then it can be explained that Jia Yan does not really exist in the deserted galaxy, but comes from farther away. Then the giant Mosquito clan he mentioned is something that the powerful people in the northern star region should consider. If the other party can come here, it is impossible to say that other existences of his giant Mosquito clan cannot be transferred here through space. Then you must be careful when dealing with this Jia Yan, otherwise the unknown race behind the opponent will send a strong person, maybe even a star-level person, and the entire northern star field, and even the surrounding people, will be affected. There will be chaos in the star territory. At this moment, Jia Yan seems to know even the star-gathering energy, which is a very high civilization, or something that only the strong can know. Since he knows, maybe the forces behind it really should not be underestimated. Our mercenary organization has the star-gathering energy, but it is extremely valuable. The power of one bottle is not much different from that of a bottle of antimatter. If you want it, what can you exchange for it? The fox monster said indifferently. The power of a bottle is not much different from that of a bottle of antimatter? Jia Yan was a little shocked when he heard this voice. He knows about antimatter. The Earth has known about antimatter for a long time, but in fact antimatter is extremely difficult to capture. People on Earth have only captured a few particles until now. Jia Yan also heard that there are not many ways to capture antimatter in starry sky civilizations. Even if some civilizations can capture and produce it, the production cost is too high, and the transportation cost is extremely high, and it is extremely dangerous. The domain has long given up on the idea of using antimatter. But now he actually heard that the star-gathering energy was equivalent to the power of antimatter? This is unprecedented. But only something of this level can make light and shadow monsters exert such terrifying power. Thinking about Jia Yan, he felt relieved. But what can he offer in exchange? Jia Yan pondered. It wasn't that he wasn't prepared, but that Jia Yan didn't know much about star-gathering energy. The senior light and shadow monster stopped talking a while ago, and he didn't ask him carefully. Just when Jia Yan was in trouble, there was a slight vibration in his body. This vibration was extremely slight, and the half-star level existence was not even noticed. After that, Jia Yan's expression changed directly from the previous doubts to indifference. "Let's do this," he said. "I will exchange with you a combat skill that can be used by a star level." Huh? Stellar combat skills. The fox and half-star strongman's expression suddenly froze, as if he was extremely suspicious. "Your Excellency Jia Yan, are you kidding me? Do you know how valuable stellar-level combat skills are? And without the experience left by the strongman himself, even if you know the moves, you can't learn them. The value of this thing is not low." Jia Yan shook his head. Then he said, "Don't worry about whether I have it or not. I'm just asking you, if I give you a skill, how much star energy can I exchange for it?" he asked. "If you really have stellar-level combat skills, then I can make the decision and exchange them with you for 3 large bottles of gathering stars, and they are of the highest level." The strong fox seemed to have thought that Jia Yan might be a member of a great race. The officer looked a little hopeful at this moment. "Okay. Then exchange 3 bottles with me." After the two discussed for a long time. In the headquarters of this mercenary organization, there are also days and nights, when the stars in the starry sky set from the end of the horizon. A black shadow slowly flew up from the mercenary organization headquarters area. He is Jia Yan. "Senior Guangying, your energy has been recharged. Can you continue talking now?" After Jia Yan observed the surroundings for a while and felt that no one was prying, he went to Shuyuan and asked softly. "Well, I can speak to a certain extent, but the quality of the star-gathering energy is still not high. It's not that they didn't come up with the best, but that in such a small mercenary organization branch, it's not that good." "Of star-gathering energy?" An old voice came from Jia Yan's body. "Well, I will definitely get better juxing for you in the future," Jia Yan said. "No, as I said, my lifespan is limited. It's not a matter of energy, but the end of the lifespan of my physical equipment. If you are really serious, just let me see you surpass the master in my lifetime. Light and shadow, the monster said in Jia Yan's body. Sorry for the late update. Thank you to the book friend. What's wrong with being crazy for once again tipping 10,000 starting coins. Congratulations on your promotion to 4th place in the fan list, thank you. I would also like to thank the book friend the miserable Aquarius for the 1000 starting coin reward, and the book friend go find some fun for the reward, thank you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 772. Remember Black Rock Network in 1 second, providing wonderful free novels without pop-ups. Jia Yan was startled when he heard that the other party's life was hopeless. But he thought about it, every life has its own lifespan, even him, not to mention that light, shadow, and light objects are not going to die now. Jia Yan let out a long sigh. Okay then. Also, is it really okay for you to hand over one of your master's combat skills to them? After all, it is a stellar combat skill. During the flight, Jia Yan said with some reluctance. During the negotiation with the fox monster just now, it was the light and shadow monster who instructed him to use stellar level skills in exchange. Only this kind of thing can move a half-star existence. Although the light and shadow monster had said that after handing over the skill, it could be taught to Jia Yan, but after all, it was known by other strong men, and Jia Yan felt a little uncomfortable. Haha, it doesn't matter. What I teach is just something that the master created at will. It doesn't even count as practice. I have never thought about teaching you in the future. The things they treasure are definitely not of the same level as what you will learn in the future. Yes, don't worry. After listening to the words of the light and shadow monster, Jia Yan felt better. Okay, now that we have your energy, we can carry out the next action in this central area. Then I want to find an opportunity to fight against a half-star strong man. Improve my combat effectiveness. Thinking of this, Jia Yan's expression showed excitement. As Jia Yan walked out of the mercenary union, his battleship was seen by some meddlesome people. Not long after, rumors about Jia Yan's existence and his departure from the mercenary union were posted to the media and the internet. Naturally, some news gimmicks were brought up, and many people who paid attention to Jia Yan were the presence is even more attentive. Jia Yan was actually able to get out of the mercenary organization. This means that the mercenary organization in the entire Northern Star Territory, and even in this entire Star Territory, is considered to be the leading force. Has it recognized the existence of Jia Yan? Many other forces who have bad feelings towards Jia Yan have thought about it. They are extremely careful about every move of the big mosquito. Some of the reasons for this are because they do not want this uncontrollable strong man to appear in the Northern Star. Within the domain, affecting their interests, on the other hand. It is a more profound reason. Not long after Jia Yan left the mercenary organization, the entire mercenary organization had some constant issues about the big mosquito. Sir, you actually want to come here in person? In an unknown place within a certain mercenary organization, the Fox half-star powerhouse was looking at a blurry lens and asked in surprise. That's right, what happened with Jia Yan was just incidental. I had bigger reasons in the past. Anyway, be prepared. Opposite the camera, there was a vague shadow, saying in a deep voice. The owner of this voice, listening to his voice, knows that his strength must not be weak. In addition, even the fox-like monster must be respectfully called Sir, then his identity will be revealed. Stellar. After closing the communication, the fox monster thought for a long time. Sir, you actually want to come here in person? It's impossible for Jia Yan to be so attractive, so what's the purpose? It seems that this Northern Star region will be more chaotic in a while. I hope it won't affect our branch. Just benefits. Sigh. The fox monster said this to himself, and then left in a hurry, as if he was going to make some arrangements. People in the entire Northern Star Territory didn't know much about the internal affairs of the mercenary organization. They were just introduced to the mercenary organization by Jia Yan at the moment and were a little surprised to come out safe and sound. Of course, what happened to Jia Yan is just a temporary trend for the entire Northern Star Territory. What's more, his most popular time has passed. Things like joining a mercenary organization and coming out again are not as good for Jia Yan before. The things he had done were not very different, and they were not topical to the general public, so it didn't take long for the discussion to pass. After all, several months have passed, and Jia Yan, the being, has not come up with any new tricks, especially those beings who are a threat theory of the giant Mosquito clan. At this moment, he has nothing to say. They have said this again and again. Outsiders from the giant Mosquito clan will immediately cause mass killings when they arrive in the central star field. But Jia Yan proved it with facts. When he went to the central area of the Northern Star Territory, he only interacted with a few forces that had quarrels with each other. After that, he even disappeared for 2 months. If this was also killing, then the people in the Northern Star Territory would. It is impossible for every creature to agree with it. But when Jia Yan appeared this time, it seemed to be different from the previous feeling. The last time he came to the central area, he almost walked around the large forces. And later simply avoided it. But this time it appeared in the public eye, there were more and more sighting reports. Jia Yan has become a little unscrupulous in the public eye, especially since he no longer avoids the areas of big forces, especially those big forces that still have some feuds. He actually doesn't avoid them, and goes directly through them. Pass. In the Northern Star Territory, Jia Yan's battleship has gradually become a code name for the powerful, because with his appearance this time, he has never paid a customs clearance fee or other fees. Although everyone knew that such a powerful being as he was, it was impossible for him to lack the customs clearance fee, but if he didn't pay at this moment, he was definitely looking for trouble. The small and medium-sized forces couldn't afford to offend him, so they let it go, but the large forces couldn't stand it after being played like this several times by him. This Jia Yan is really bullying people. Our forces don't like his little customs clearance fee, but his slap in the face is too much. It seems that we must give him some color, otherwise, the entire Northern Star Territory will. How will the forces view us? In the Whitebird War Hall where Jia Yan had been attacked, some of the top leaders of this large force gathered together. They were a little depressed about Jia Yan's actions. Jia Yan reappeared after disappearing for 2 months. Although he was still just like he was 2 months ago, seemingly wandering around without any purpose, in fact, Jia Yan had vaguely set his target on Beidou. In the Bird War Hall. Especially for large-scale forces to break through, there were no less than 10 incidents in the Whitebird War Hall alone. If you want to cause him trouble, you can. Who is going? Are you going? In the Whitebird War Hall, a strong man took up the words of the strong man who just spoke and laughed coldly. This. The person who had previously said that he wanted to show off to Jia Yan stopped talking, and then stopped saying anything. Jia Yan's strength and the existence of their Whitebird War Hall have been confirmed. Even a great semi-star level existence of the Whitebird War Hall had personally attacked Jia Yan. Others don't know the outcome of this war. But how could the people in the Whitebird Battle Hall not know? Jia Yan was actually able to escape from the hands of a half-star level powerhouse. The Whitebird War Hall present at the meeting were all ordinary powerhouses, and the strongest one was just a sub-level powerhouse. I am not sure about Jia Yan's battle. Alas, the strength of our Whitebird War Hall in this northern star field is really poor. Forget it, I'll just accumulate points honestly and go to the main hall in the future. That time, the strong man was at this moment. Seeing everyone looking at him, Some did not dare to respond and changed the topic. Let him fight Jia Yan? What a joke. The opponent had killed several powerful beings, and even escaped with his life in front of a half-star level being from their Whitebird War Hall. How could he make fun of his own life? When the monsters saw that this being did not dare to fight, they all snorted with disdain. In short, among the large forces, there does not seem to be much respect for the existence of the strong men in the second level. It seems that although the strong men in the second level are stronger than the average sages, they are just more powerful sages. But the existence of half-star level is different. For these powerful people at this moment, there are only two existences in the entire Whitebird War Hall that can give them the feeling of respect. And just when they were laughing at the strong man that time, such a being appeared. Don't embarrass Luolin. Go to Shiyuan. That Jia Yan is really not something he can deal with. But I agree with your idea of dealing with Jia Yan. Since that old man is unwilling to deal with Jia Yan anymore, take action, then let me do it. When this huge body appeared in the venue, the eyes of all the creatures in the venue lit up. Jia Yan has felt a little relaxed these past 2 days. Of course he relaxed. The center of the Northern Star territory, which he originally thought was a bit dangerous, actually allowed him to come and go. Although he did not dare to offend all the large forces at the same time, he could destroy several forces that had enmity with him. I still dare to do it. Anyway, they already have a grudge, and Jia Yan is not afraid of them with his current strength. At this time, he was still driving the battleship, flying in the universe. It seems that among the large forces, there are those who can gather stars. It would be great if we could blackmail them a little, Jia Yan thought whimsically. In the past few days, he kept wandering in space and collided with the existence of several forces. But when the other party knows Jia Yan's identity, they often let him go. Even the Whitebird Battle Hall, which Jia Yan takes care of, is the same. It would be great if I could fight the Shiratori Sentu that I had a confrontation with last time. I have been using him as a simulation target recently. If I could really fight him once, it would be great for me. It will definitely be beneficial for me to fight against strong men. Jia Yan thought about this, and then turned the battleship he was driving around. He seems to want to attack the star field of the Whitebird Battle Hall again. When he broke through the barrier before, Jia Yan was still somewhat polite. This time he wanted to try to see if he could bring greater stimulation to the other party. It would be best to directly bring out a star and a half-star existence. Reborn as an Interstellar Giant Mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 773. Of course, if he caused trouble, he had to control his speed well. Jia Yan didn't want to provoke 2.5-star experts at once, so he had to think through everything beforehand. Don't they always suspect that I am a genius junior of a certain large race? Well, I am a child of a powerful race. It is a child's nature to break through in your influence and do some innocuous little bad things. Why? Maybe send 2.5-star level experts to deal with me. Jia Yan laughed directly when he thought of this. For him, this is a big gamble. His strength has always been getting stronger with each battle. His learning ability and fighting talent are his strong confidence, so he fights with a half-star level existence. Is what Jia Yan has always wanted to do, and now he is taking advantage of the other party's misjudgment of his race. Maybe even if he cannot defeat him, he may not dare to kill him. In this case, what Jia Yan can learn will be there will be more. He had no choice but to do this. After all, a half-star level expert was too strong. For Jia Yan, it was almost an insurmountable mountain. He had not climbed the first such mountain, so he did not have much confidence. And just when Jia Yan wanted to fly slowly towards the star field of the Whitebird Battle Hall. Huh? The feeling of this space. Suddenly, Jia Yan felt that something was wrong with the space around him. He felt that no matter whether the battleship was moving forward or retreating, there was no feeling of moving forward or retreating. Instead, it seemed to be spinning in place. "Who's doing this?" Jia Yan suddenly shouted in shock, and at the same time, his brainwave power exploded directly. Jia Yan is also a strong man in space energy environment control. For Jia Yan, this scene is probably caused by the power of space environment control, and if he uses the same power, he may be able to resolve it. As mentioned before, the power of space has always been the largest among the strong men in the universe. However, among 100 strong men, there are 100 ways to exert the power of space. In the entire universe, there are almost no two strong men. The environmental control forces will be exactly the same. And Jia Yan believed that the same was true for the environmental control power that enveloped his battleship. At this moment, he directly released his own power. Between the control power and the control power, no matter how weird the other party's power was, there was always a way to neutralize each other. Buzz. Jia Yan's brainwave power directly covers a radius of 200 kilometers. But at the same time, Jia Yan's heart suddenly thumped. It turned out that when his brainwave power was released, it didn't seem to encounter any power. It seemed that nothing had changed, and the previous feeling of the battleship spinning in place seemed to be an illusion. But how could Jia Yan's feelings be wrong? "Who is it? If you don't come out, I will launch an attack." Jia Yan shouted coldly, and then the power of his brainwaves rose up in a haze and spread even more, directly covering a radius of 1,500 kilometers. "Humph, Your Excellency Jia Yan, are you so confident that your so-called attack will be effective on me?" In the vacuum of space on one side, a brainwave power transmission came out. Jia Yan turned his eyes and saw a creature with an aura that completely exceeded the power of ordinary beings. This is a gray monster. He has a long trunk like an elephant, but also has human-like limbs. He was holding something like a two-handed sword in his hand, and the surface of his body was covered with armor. A calm aura was faintly vented, which was extremely terrifying. Seeing that this body reached a height of about 400 meters, which was almost the tallest among all the monsters Jia Yan had ever seen, Jia Yan was suddenly shocked in his heart. While the other party was talking, he just stepped from a distance of about 1,000 kilometers to just 1 kilometer away from Jia Yan. For the strong, this distance is already a distance that feels like face to face. "Who are you, sir? Why are you teasing me?" Jia Yan calmed down and asked directly and coldly. He knew that this elephant trunk existence was a half-star level existence. So Jia Yan actually knew the purpose of the other party's coming, but the other party was also a space powerhouse and even used a weapon similar to Jia Yan's. The ability to shuttle can't help but make him a little dignified. In a battle between two strong men with space abilities, his advantage will be greatly reduced. Of course, it's not that he doesn't believe in the teachings of the light and shadow monsters, it's just that the strength gap between him and the opponent is too big. Even if he has a powerful space shuttle ability, maybe you won't get good results. Of course, everything is Jia Yan's own idea, and the specific performance of everything will only be known after fighting. "Haha, am I teasing you? Little guy, I think you may not even be 150 years old. You have gone too far in our Whitebird War Hall. Seeing as you are good at children, you are just a playful person. Because of your age, I will not hold you responsible. You will be bound by yourself, and then tell me where your parents are, and I will personally send you home to be punished." The elephant trunk giant made a buzzing sound that shook the Tianshan Mountains, and said slowly to Jia Yan, 150? Jia Yan was startled, and then almost wanted to laugh. In the eyes of the other party, 150 years old was still the age of a playful child, so how old must this strong man be? And he was also wrong. To be precise, Jia Yan's reborn body was only in his 20s. The other party should have said that he was just a baby playing in the mud, right? Of course, it is impossible for Jia Yan to say it. If he really wants to say it, he probably does not have such a good attitude, but must understand that there is something weird about his body. Maybe if he spreads it, he will inevitably be pursued by a series of forces. Humph. I'm not a child of any family. If you want to fight me, just do it. Jia Yan pretended to be childish and shouted. The words he said made him feel goosebumps, but he was like a child like this. Sure enough, when the elephant trunk giant saw Jia Yan's tone, he seemed to confirm something even more. Then he shook his head and said, "That's all, I will teach you a lesson on behalf of your parents, so that you can see that outsiders are not like your family and can tolerate you doing evil things." The strong man said, and then his body fell directly into the space. "Jia Yan, this guy's space travel is different from yours. It's a way of compressing space. It takes a lot of power to travel through as much space as you want. It's completely different from your walking in subspace. Be careful." Although his move consumes a lot of energy, it wins because of its speed. Just after the elephant trunk monster entered the space, the light and shadow monster regained a little strength in Jia Yan's body and shouted directly to Jia Yan. "Okay, I see." Jia Yan's face darkened. At the same time, his body also flashed out of the battleship. Using the same power of space shuttle, he teleported to a distance of 500 kilometers. What a wonderful space power. It seems to be a mature way to travel through space. The elephant trunk monster appeared near Jia Yan's battleship. He raised the two-handed sword to attack, and he felt that Jia Yan was about to attack. Yan disappeared into the battleship. Teleport 500 kilometers at a time. Not much, it depends on me. The elephant trunk monster directly used its brainwave power again, stepped on it, let go of Jia Yan's battleship, pursued Jia Yan and left in a blink of an eye. Direction. Jia Yan is not running away, but wants to stay away from his battleship at this moment. After all, his movement depends entirely on this battleship. Just when Jia Yan traveled through space 3 times in a row and arrived more than 2,000 kilometers away, Jia Yan, who had just flown out of the subspace, was shocked. He felt a terrifying force that seemed to have been waiting there for a long time and enveloped him directly. Moreover, the terrifying degree of this power is completely different from the power of strong men that Jia Yan felt before. Even that battle with a group of venerables didn't feel like this. The strength of this energy is too terrifying, and seems to be somewhat irresistible to Jia Yan. However, Jia Yan's recent tactics under the guidance of light and shadow monsters are not so easy to defeat. After Jia Yan's body was shaken, half of his body disappeared. This is a trick that Jia Yan has taught hard to the light and shadow monster in the past 2 months and has mastered it. Semi-virtual. His talent lies in space, and he has previously learned several moves that allow his entire body to disappear into visible space. But this kind of half is in space, usually in a false space. For Jia Yan, this kind of trick also took a lot of effort to learn. That's right, half virtual, Jia Yan. If you are dealing with an opponent whose energy far exceeds yours, and even the brainwave power is crushed by the opponent, then only half virtual can help you. The words of the light and shadow monster seemed to still be echoing in Jia Yan's ears. At this moment, half of his body was insubstantial, and half of his body was suddenly no longer under the control of the opponent's brainwave power. Shuttle. Jia Yan secretly shouted loudly in his heart, and then stared at the space not far away. The elephant trunk monster was a little shocked when he saw Jia Yan's semi-virtual body, and a light flashed in his eyes. What kind of move is this? After being suppressed by my environment control power, you can actually enter the subspace. The elephant trunk monster not far away looked at Jia Yan's body disappearing directly in front of his eyes in astonishment, and was stunned for a moment. But after this moment, as a space genius, he felt that the space behind his body was completely distorted. Before the space distortion stabilized, A sharp front foot came out of the distorted space and attacked fiercely. Bold. I didn't attack, but you attacked directly. The elephant trunk monster roared in shock and anger. Jia Yan actually dared to attack him. This half-star monster who thought he was playing with children naturally became furious. I'm extremely grateful to the book friend the miserable Aquarius for once again tipping me 11,000 starting coins and rising to the second place on the fan list. Thanks. Also thanks to Look000 book friends for the reward.